Hello everybody, welcome to Coco's Crochet. I'm Litsa and today is Yarn of the Month episode 6. Oh my goodness, we're already up to episode 6. Now this month we're talking about this gorgeous yarn here, which is the Birch Multi-Twist yarn. And it is absolutely gorgeous, and as you can see there is a twist of the two different strands in there, and I'll show you what they look like because I have pulled it apart for you. Now I had the great pleasure of working with two of these colorways, which is the Brights, this one over here, and look how beautiful and bright that is. All those colors are gorgeous, and also the Atlantic, beautiful blues and jade, like, you know, turquoisey and purple colors in there. Now this one here is called Jewel. It's absolutely beautiful. And this one down here, the one with all the purples in it, is called Peony, P-E-O-N-Y, which is a funny name. I thought maybe they just call it purple, but it is what it is. Now, this yarn, I purchased this on sale from the Reject Shop about a month ago at $2.50. Now, usually it is $4, which I still think is a great price for this yarn, because let me show you the yarns that I was comparing it to. So originally I had started to see, you know, it was all over YouTube at that time when I purchased this yarn, the Spice Shop yarn by Premier. Sorry about all the white, guys, but it's absolutely gorgeous, this yarn. So in my mind, I thought, without having looked at any stats, that this would be very comparable. But in actual fact, the Spice Shop yarn, although the colors look very similar, has 20% wool in it as well. So this yarn is 100% acrylic. So that wasn't really comparable. But then I did find from Premier the Serenity Candy. And again, very, very similar look. And this one is 100% acrylic. But then I thought, well, Litsa, what's the point of even trying to see what the price is to compare that side of it, even though the stats compared, the, you know, the content, like how it was made up, the yarn, it would have been very, very expensive to bring here to Sydney, Australia, all the way from, you know, overseas. So I did find a yarn here that is very comparable, and then I will talk to you, you know, through with this yarn because that's what we're here for. But I just wanted to find something that was comparable to see if it was actually a good deal. And then I found this Motivera Monkey Twist yarn, which actually is pretty much the same yarn. I have felt it. I don't have one here to show you, but as you can see, it's very similar. But the price is $8.50, which is more than double this when it's the original price without it being discounted. And the stats here you'll see are pretty much the same when I talk you through the stats for the multi-twist yarn. The only difference is that it says here to use a 9mm hook, but when I've looked at them up close, I really do think that you could definitely get away with the size hook that's recommended for this yarn. So let me talk you through some stats now that we know what we can compare it to, because it's always very important to know that, to see if we're getting, you know, value for our dollar. And I really think that this was good value. So this yarn here, the Birch Multi-Twist, let me just show you this pretty one while I'm talking about it, is 100% acrylic. There's 100 grams and 80 meters. Now, it's very deceiving because when I read 80 meters, I thought that I would need quite a few balls to achieve or finish the patterns that I wanted to make with it, that I had in my mind, you know, when I bought it home. So I did end up buying a lot more than I needed. So that's something good to remember for next time. They do recommend an 8mm crochet hook. Now, I did use an 8mm crochet hook for some of my projects. And then in total, though, I did use 4 different hooks for these projects here. I used a 7, an 8, a 9, and a 10. So all these hooks helped me achieve the gauge that I needed to make the patterns. And that's very important to remind ourselves that sometimes we need to do that. Now, it does tell us that you can machine wash or hand wash the this yarn. Do not tumble, do not iron, do not, what else is it? Do not wring. And then it says to dry flat. Now, my big concern was that I didn't have time to put this yarn through the wash, because as I was crocheting it up, I kept thinking, I wonder if it peels after you wash it a few times. But thanks to Thea, we have the answer to that question, so stay tuned. You will know that before the end of this video. So now we have this beautiful yarn. We need to work with it. I'll show you a swatch, and I'll show you what it looks like when you open it up. So basically there are 2 strands. each ball has one color that runs through the whole thing, so one strand, and one with all the color changes. Now they are very short color changes. I think it's around 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches per chain, like before the next color comes up. So you have to be quite particular with what projects you apply it to. I have not seen it in solid colors, but in saying that, it doesn't mean they're not available. I just haven't seen them myself. So this yarn here, I think it has a special name, but can you see when you open it up how it's very, very like fly away and quite delicate? And I think that's what makes it so soft, which I absolutely love about it, because when you see it like that, it almost looks like rope, doesn't it? But it's actually a beautiful, beautiful yarn. Now let me pop my little bits to the side and bring the swatch to you. Now I'm going to talk to you in US terminology when I talk about the stitches. So I've done 2 rows of single crochet, half double, double, and then I did some cross stitches. Now for you to get the cross stitches to actually stand out more, there they are there, you'd actually have to use a bigger hook for the lacier stitches, is what I recommend, or I think would have to happen. And then I made some 3D stitches, some clusters and some popcorn. And as you can see, is that better? You can see that they are quite 3D. And then we had to work out, can we frog this without it snagging? Because you always worry with yarn like that that's quite fluffy, if you put your hook accidentally in the wrong place, will it snag? But let me tell you, it has been a dream, because I actually had to frog 2 whole rows last time. You can see it even does the popcorn stitches so easily. So I'm going to leave it at that, because we don't need to frog the whole thing for us to see that it is very, very easy to frog. Now, as I said to you, this yarn goes a very long way, which was really surprising. In total, for all the projects that I'm going to show you, I used 4 balls, 2 of the Brights, 2 of the Atlantic, and I did dip into 1 ball of the Atlantic, but only a very smidge. So, let me guess, maybe 20 grams. So I'm going to pop these down. And as we said, we played with 4 hooks, which was so much fun. And in actual fact, if I didn't have to bring this video to you, I probably could have played a little bit longer, because this yarn is awesome. So the first thing I had to make was a beanie, right? And I thought I won't go to my go-to, which I love, you know, the Divine beanie. I'd go and see if I could find a tutorial specifically for chunky yarn. And I did. I came across a YouTube tutorial by It's Erin B, and it says the title is Crochet a Chunky Beanie Tutorial. Now this is made in 1 piece, a rectangle, and then you fold it over, make a tube, sew it up, and then you draw in the top or cinch it in so that you can close the hole. Now, if you guys have made one of these before, let me know. Do you have a bit of a hole sticking out? And I'm thinking maybe I should have left it a bit wider so I could have a pony coming out of it. But in saying all that, this is one super soft, super chunky beanie. And because you crochet half double crochets in the back loop, look at the gorgeous texture you achieve. But that's my dilemma, that I do have a bit of a hole, because I was very worried that if I tugged and pulled on the yarn anymore, it might snap it. So I left it at that. I do have a long tail in here in case you have some suggestions, and I will fold up the brim because it is quite long. Now I imagine if you didn't want a brim with it, but it does look very pretty with a brim, you could just make a shorter chain when you're making your rectangle. So that's something to keep in mind. But I made it exactly as the tutorial, and I absolutely love it. It is very hot in here today, but I might pop it on at the end so I can show you what it looks like. But of course I didn't stop there with the beanies. I also made a Divine hat. Now, as we know as crocheters, if we need to use a thicker yarn, like a chunky yarn, and a bigger hook, like a 10mm and a 9mm. For this one, I also used a 10mm hook. You need to adjust your pattern. So in actual fact, instead of starting off with a 15 double crochets, I started off with 10, and I think I omitted between 5 and 7 rows, and it actually turned out beautiful. Now, the only thing, because this is a very, very busy yarn, it is a little bit difficult to see, you know, the pattern that it makes. the divine hat, but in saying that, it is still very, very pretty, and another very, very warm hat. If I can at the end, I'll pop this one on for you as well. But it didn't stop there, guys, because then I was on a roll. I thought, okay, what else can I make with this yarn? And just looking at it, I kept thinking basket. Now, I could have made a much bigger basket, which I probably will with this beautiful jewel tone yarn here. Imagine the beautiful basket it'll make. But here's my basket here, guys. Isn't it so pretty? I just made it, you know, with 2 little handles, and it will fit quite a few things in here. It is very, very sturdy, sits up on its own, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of an increase, and then 1 row where you crochet in the back loop only, and I build it up with 3 rows of single crochet and then about 4 or 5 rows of the half double crochet before I made the little handles. But how gorgeous is that, guys? And it does fit quite a few things in here. It's just the perfect size to sit on, you know, my tabletop. But I would like to see how big I can go with 3 balls of this yarn, and I might actually do that very, very soon, because I love having little baskets to pop in my little bits and pieces, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. So it was perfect for making a basket. I did use a 7mm hook for it, which made it even sturdier, the material, as you can see right there. How gorgeous is that? Absolutely gorgeous. And then I thought, well, I have to see if I can make a towel ring with it. And of course I could. And here it is here. Once again, all I did was adjust how many stitches I did. I think I made 2 or 3 less. And the great thing is that my hook still was able to draw through this yarn, you know, the 2 strands. I was a bit concerned that I wouldn't be able to draw it, like, you know, crochet it through. Pull it through, because of course, you know, you're very limited to how big your hook can be when you can only have a tiny hole to play with. But again, this was so quick and so simple to make. I did use for this one an 8mm hook, so I went with what was recommended, and I have a beautiful towel ring. So that was another project. And then I thought, you know what I'd love to make, because I've been hearing about them all the time. The quickest, simplest project you'll ever make is a car coaster. How gorgeous is that? 1 row of double crochet, 1 row of single crochet, and you're done. Half a dozen of these, what a great gift they'll be for Christmas. Pop them in wrap them up, pop them in a little maybe plastic bag, or, you know, like a present it any way you like, with a little ribbon. Maybe with a takeaway mug, because this will be actually so good for the drips. I was thinking Steve loves to have iced coffee, and you know what, this would catch all of the drips. And sometimes when I have a hot coffee, because the car, you know, of the bumps, if you go over a speed hump, some of the drink, like the coffee, comes out of the spout, it'll catch it all. And these being acrylic won't get all smelly in the car when it's very, very hot, whereas cotton generally does by the time you wash them. And of course, pop them in a, you know, one of those wash bags, pop them in the washing machine. You don't have to hand wash them, and they wouldn't take very long to dry. So I just had to make one of the little coasters. And again, for this, I used the 8mm hook, and you just need some scrap. And you have, you know, half a dozen of these. Imagine how quickly you would work them up. Somebody would love to receive them. I think I'm going to add them to my Christmas repertoire this year of gift crocheting. And then the other thing that I just had to make, guys, because I was thinking, as we said earlier, you need to have a very particular pattern for, you know, this yarn, because it is so busy. And my mind went to amigurumi. I thought, can you apply it to amigurumi? Is it going to work up as, you know, nice as I'm hoping it will? Will it be easy? Because, you know, I am a little bit challenged in that area. And I thought of a Tudor fence, because I remember our friend Julie over at KS Mum Crochets, hello Julie, she always says that if you have this type of yarn, to make something like a Tudor fence. But I've made a really big one, and I just had to make what everybody's making. It was the perfect opportunity, and I made a loaf cat. Okay, this tutorial is by our friend Ella over at No Catch Your Name Crochet, and if you don't have one that you've already used, this will be your go-to. Ella does an amazing job. I followed with her step by step. It was like we were in the same room crocheting together. Even how to embroider the face. It's no sew except for you add the little tail, and in actual fact you really do crochet it in. But how adorable is he? Now, because I didn't know how far this yarn would go, and it was one of the first patterns, well, the only pattern that I made in amigurumi, but I wasn't sure how far, sorry, I should say, the ball would go. I did it 8 rows deep, just like Ella did before you decrease. You can actually go 12, and I think with one ball I probably could, but this is less than 1 ball of yarn, and there's its little feet, little puff stitches. So really is so adorable. I absolutely love him, and I just think this was the perfect yarn for it. Now inside here I've stuffed him with fiberfill and just some yarn ends, like, you know, when you have all your ends, your scraps, because I didn't have to sew anything on. I wasn't worried that I'd be, you know, having to tug away at the yarn in there. So that's him. So he took 1 ball, just under a ball of the Brights, and a 7mm hook, because of course we know with a amigurumi piece you need to go down at least 1 hook size. I didn't want to go down to 6. 7 was perfect. You can't see the stuffing or anything coming through. Once again, look at his little face. So they're the projects that I have to show you, and let me tell you, I enjoyed making each and every one of them. And now I'm going to show you a blanket that Thea has sent in to us. So thank you so much, Thea, once again for joining in Yarn of the Month. Now, this is Thea's granny square blanket. So 1 complete granny square, continuous granny square. And Thea tells us that she made this many years ago. She has washed it time and time again, and it looks just as good as it did when she first crocheted, which is excellent to know, guys. Very important when it comes to yarn, especially what we consider a cheap yarn. It's actually not. It was just bought at a very good price. And the other thing that Thea tells us that she does machine wash it, and she just lays it over her washing line to dry. So that's perfect. And it does hang over her, what did she tell us? Her armchair, yes, across the back of her armchair. So let me bring this up for you so you can see it. It's gorgeous. Now look at this colorway. Very pretty. And I'll show you the next photo up close as well. Oh my gosh, look at it there. Absolutely gorgeous. So you know what, guys? Maybe this won't become a basket. Maybe it'll become a little baby blanket. We shall wait and see. But I have to incorporate this purple in there somehow. Absolutely love that color. So Thea, once again, thank you. You always make this an extra special segment. So at the end, we have to say, would I buy this yarn again if I found it? Absolutely. I'd even pay $4 for it because I really do think that it's worth it. I love each and every project that I've made here today. I think this one is my favorite though. He is so adorable, right? Can't go past him. I love working with chunky yarns. I love working with the bigger hooks. It just means the project goes very quickly. And frogging, not an issue at all, which is always very important because sometimes we do make a mistake. So that's it, guys. That was Yarn of the Month, episode 6. Now, I had the delightful dilemma, once again, of having to think of what episode 7's Yarn of the Month is going to be. And I decided to use this beautiful yarn that was gifted to me by our friend Liza, and it is this here. Let me pop the basket down. Again, a basket. I love baskets. And this is called the Marshmallow Pies DK yarn. So Marshmallow Pies. And the maker is, let me just have a look who actually makes this yarn. I should have written that before I popped it out here. Well, I'm not quite sure, but you know what? That's what episode 7 is going to be all about. So we're going to be working with this. It is a DK weight, so we've gone from a very chunky to something that is a lot finer, DK weight being 8 ply. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I can make with that for you. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, all right, there are many possibilities, but which way are we going to go? It looks like it has very long color changes, so it's a striping yarn, I believe. But we will find out, and I will tell you all about it next month. Now, who wants me to try these beanies on? It's very hot, but if You're here for the show, guys, so let's pop this one on. Okay, there we go. So that's the Divine hat. As you can see, it is very, very busy and hard to see the pattern, but in saying that, it is still very, very pretty, and it does keep me very, very warm. Now let's take this off so I can show you this one. Okay, I still don't know what to do with that hole in the top, so let me know if you have any suggestions. But how good does it look, guys? Like, seriously, I absolutely love it. I even thought about rolling the brim in like that for a very different look. What do you guys think? Which way would you wear it? Anyway, thank you so much for joining me once again. I have had so much fun bringing you this yarn of the month. Look at this guy on your way out. Thank you so very, very much. As I said, I always enjoy trying to bring something different to my repertoire, but somehow I always end up making a beanie, right? Anyway, it is what it is. And until I see you next time, everybody, take care. Bye-bye for now.